All right, let's continue with our coverage on this particular story, a major one for the day. Democratic Alliance spokesperson Willie Aucamp joins us now from Cape Town. Willie, good evening to you, and thank you very much for your time. Let's start with the explanation that has come from the presidency. I'm listening to the leader of your party in Parliament who suggests that this is for the unauthorized trip to the United States. Is that indeed the reason the Deputy Minister was removed?
Well, yes, it is the reason. In February, Deputy Minister Andrew Whitfield went to the United States. It is very important to say, however, that he did apply to get permission from the President to go there. And 10 days later, the President has not answered him on that. So the President has now fired a Deputy Minister of the DA for visiting the United States of America. And whilst the President sits with people in his cabinet from his own party that has been implicated in the VBS scandal, that has been pointed out by the Zondo Commission, and still he keep them there, and that is just unacceptable.
Well, the President may feel that he is within his rights, although this is many months down the line that the Deputy Minister did not get express permission and he undertook the trip nonetheless, only to get an apology thereafter. Why did the Deputy Minister rather, see it fit to go without the President approving?
As you rightfully said there now, Collie, is that he did ask, did write the President a letter where he apologized for that. As I say, within 10 days after writing to the President, he still did not get any response. But Deputy Minister Whitfield then wrote to the President and he apologized to him. The thing is just, I think we've got to compare apples with apples here. If you look at what the Deputy Minister has done, he went to another country. He did not steal any money. And by the way, that trip was a DA trip. It was not paid for by the taxpayer. It was paid by the Democratic Alliance. So on the one hand, you've got a Deputy Minister who went overseas without the permission of the President after he has applied for that. And that was a mistake, and he has apologized for that. And the President could have taken a number of other measures. The fact of the matter is, Collie, is that President Ramaphosa is the president of this country, but he's not governing alone anymore. This is a government of national unity, and he should have consulted with the leader of the DA. The leader of the DA, John Steenhuisen, asked the President yesterday to give him 24 hours to speak to Deputy Minister Whitfield about this and to then come back. But 3 hours after John Steenhuisen asked that from the President, 3 hours thereafter, the letter went out to Mr. Whitfield. And that is not done in good faith. The ANC is not governing alone anymore, and the sooner that they realize that, the better.
The delegation of the Freedom Front Plus political party is in the United States this week. I'm not sure whether they have returned to the country as yet. That appears a contradiction in terms if indeed this is the President's way of holding people to account. Are you going to raise that sharply with the President, or is this water under the bridge now?
Dr. Corné Mulder from the Freedom Front Plus, who is there currently, is not a member of the executive, so the same rules does not apply, and he's got the right to be there. I think what we've got to look at, Collie, and this comes to the ultimatum that John Steenhuisen has put to the President today, is that, Mr. President, you have now dismissed a Deputy Minister for visiting another country. We now expect from you to swipe in front of your own door and dismiss members of your own party who are in cabinet that have been implicated in the VBS scandal, that have been implicated in the Zondo Commission, people that actually did things that are against the law or allegedly did those things. Visiting another country, and it's very important, it's not against the law. This broke rules of the executive, and he should have asked for permission, and he should have obtained that before we went. And he admitted that, and he asked for an apology. But you cannot compare that with the allegations against some of the other ministers from the ANC in this cabinet. So John Steenhuisen made it very clear this afternoon that the DA is giving the President 48 hours to fire those ministers who are implicated. Otherwise, the Democratic Alliance's federal executive will reconvene, and we will then obviously reconsider our position within the GNU and the way forward.
Before we talk about that federal executive meeting, the chairperson of the DA's Federal Council, Helen Zille, has been tweeting this afternoon, and she was responding to someone, and she uses the words, "This is a very serious crisis for the GNU." What will that look like in practice?
Golly, this is obviously a serious crisis. The president fired one of our members, a member, by the way, who did an excellent job. Now you've got to ask yourself, look at the timing of this. This is shortly after questions have been raised with regards to the lottery tender. This is minister handled with regards to the employment equity legislation. So you've got to ask yourself, why now? 4 months after the fact. Why now do this? If you compare this with what happened in the past and how the president has handled very, very harsher transgressions and how he is handling this now. So we expect from the president to lead now and to reshuffle the cabinet to get rid of the rot within his cabinet. And there are some rot there. Let's make no mistake about them.
You raise something very critical here. It is months down the line, and we've got to look at the timing, you say. And this is on the back of the recent signing of a deal around the National Lottery. Are you saying that the Deputy Minister, Andrew Whitfield, might have information that we're not aware of as members of the public that possibly would, that he would possibly make public? What are you playing at? What are you suggesting?
No, I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that that is in his portfolio. So people can ask. Now you've got a deputy minister there that will obviously scrutinize this. And unlike in the past when the ANC governed alone, when things like this just people got away with it. Now you've got a deputy minister there doing this and handling this, and that will keep eyes on this. So you've got to ask yourself, why 3 months down the line now fire this deputy minister? Because he visited another country. It's not as if he committed fraud or as if he was involved in the VBS scandal or as if his name has been mentioned in the Zondo Commission, like it is the case with the ANC ministers. So we are asking the president to, whilst he is now doing this reshuffle of his cabinet, to do a proper reshuffle and get rid of the people in his cabinet that really made themselves guilty of much, much worse things than traveling abroad without permission.
Allow me to connect the dots, so to speak. Earlier, you suggested that John Steenhuisen would have been taken into confidence by the president, that the president intended to remove Deputy Minister Whitfield, and all that Mr. Steenhuisen asked for the president to do was to tell the deputy minister, and you're saying that that wasn't done. Now you are talking about, all right, you'll correct me, allow me just to finish. Now you're suggesting that if the president is going to mount a cabinet reshuffle, then he's got to do what is expected of him, and that's to get rid of the rot. Are you aware of a cabinet reshuffle that could be afoot here?
Well, we were made aware that it might have happened now, and that this axing of Mr. Whitfield was part of a larger reshuffle, but that did not happen. So that is why we have now said to the president, please get rid of the people in your cabinet from your own party who we know are having allegations against them. And we will now see what the president do, whether he will comply. It is just, again, Collie, to compare the two with each other. On the one hand, you've got a minister who has been implicated in VBS with hundreds of thousands of rands, that it's there, it's in the public. And on the other hand, you've got a minister or deputy minister who went overseas, who visited another country, and by the way, went there to talk up the GNU, to tell the United States that the GNU is working and that we are making inroads. He did not do anything wrong when he got there. So you've got to ask yourself what's going on. And that is why we are insisting that the president now do a proper reshuffle and clean up the people in his own party that is also obviously not fit. Well, that is definitely not fit to be ministers and or deputy ministers.
An urgent meeting by the Democratic Alliance has been called. What is expected to be discussed in that meeting, and when might we know the outcome?
That meeting already took place, Colin. It took place this afternoon. And the outcome of that was what the leader of the Democratic Alliance, John Steenhuisen, said in Parliament this afternoon. So the meeting took place. We've made a decision. Our leader conveyed that decision in Parliament. And now the ball is in the court of the president. It is the actions of the president that is definitely putting this GNU in jeopardy. He is not governing alone anymore. He cannot just go and hire and fire our ministers without speaking to us or without giving us opportunity to engage with him properly. As I've said, John Steenhuisen, in good faith, asked the president for 24 hours before he respond. But 3 hours after that, the minister already received, the deputy minister received his letter to say that he's been dismissed. So that was definitely not done in good faith. And we should expect from our partners within the GNU that they will act in good faith. It's very interesting how the president is always trying to keep the people in his party happy. And that comes at the cost of the country. Every time that there's a executive meeting of the ANC that's possibly on the cards, something happens. So we've got to look into this. And we've got to now insist that President Ramaphosa act and that he really get rid of the people who are really a threat to good governance within this government of national unity.
You say that that meeting has already been held. For viewers who may have missed its outcomes, at least the one statement that was made by the leader of the Democratic Alliance in Parliament this afternoon was that the president has 48 hours within which to fire all of the people that he deems to be transgressors. Was that the ultimate statement from that meeting, that very ultimatum?
Yeah, well, that was what was decided, is that we will give the president an ultimatum that he's got to now clean up his own house. It doesn't help him to clean up the DA's house, but he's not willing to do it with his own house. If he then wants to go for good governance and implement it in his cabinet, then he must do it across the board with everybody.
Are you willing to walk away from this GNU if that doesn't happen?
I'm not at liberty to give that answer. What the Democratic Alliance will do is that should this 48 hours go by and the president does not act on this ultimatum, our federal executive will reconvene and we will make a decision going forward at that stage. So let's not jump the gun here. Let's wait and see what happens and then take it from there.
Willie Aucamp, thank you very much for your time, the national spokesperson of the Democratic Alliance.